We got a lot to cover. Joining me now, two good ones. Evan Siegfried, Republican strategist, and Joel Benenson, former senior strategist and pollster for President Obama. All right, Evan, let's start with you. First of all, let's talk Balderson versus O'Connor. Are Republicans making the right move, coming out strong, the president saying, great, we won, and Balderson essentially giving a victory speech? This thing is so close.
It is so close, and I think Balderson will end up prevailing at the end of the day, given the way that the provisional ballots will go and whether or not they'll even be accepted. However, I think Republicans are really trying to shine something that isn't good. This is a district that President Trump won by 11 points. No Democrat has been elected to this House seat since 1980. We are having a very big problem. If a Democrat can bring it to 1,754 votes in terms of margin of difference between the two candidates in this district, I am terrified as a Republican because it confirms everything we've been seeing on the ground. The erosion of married suburban white women who were voting for GOP candidates in 2010, 2012, 2014, and giving us the majority in both houses of Congress. They are abandoning the party. They don't want to be associated with it.
Then if what you're saying is last night's election was not about who won, but what's to come, then Frank Bruni is right. He said Democrats shouldn't lick their wounds, they should lick their chops. But I look to the Green Party. The Green Party candidate in the 12th District of Ohio got 1% of the votes.
Right.
Had that 1% gone to O'Connor, he would actually be slightly, and just slightly, but within the margin and calling for a recount. Is this a moment for the Democratic Party to say, listen, we appreciate Green Party candidates, but you've got two major parties. One believes in science, one doesn't. Might be time to get on board with the science team.
For a long time, it's about green parties. It's about the right now, I think the Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wing of the party. Like, you have to make a decision whether or not you want to defeat Republicans and put more Democrats who will fight for working people in office, or sacrifice people on the altar of political, rigid ideology. We can't keep losing races by splintering the party. I still think that this district is really positive news for Democrats. If you look at where Balderson underperformed, you expect Democrats to do very well in Franklin County, but also in Delaware County. He did a little better probably in Delaware County. I think there's a real a pathway for Democrats there to concentrate on Delaware County and build up that margin. Winning this district by, if he wins it, if he holds up and he wins by 1,700, there aren't enough voters in rural Ohio to make up the difference that Democrats can gain in this district in both Franklin and Delaware County.
Evan, but you're concerned that sort of the Trump brand is hurting votes in suburban America. Chris Kobach, who got backed by Trump, he held that vote.
But that's in a Republican primary, not in a general election. And I know the Republican Governors Association asked President Trump not to get involved in the Republican nomination contest in Kansas, but he did so anyway because they didn't want to have this intra-party fighting going into a general election in November. I think that going back to the Ohio race and the midterms overall, I think the biggest story here and what will be the biggest issue barring some unforeseen event, it's going to be health care. Danny O'Connor ran as his top priority of making health care more accessible and affordable.
So right there, that's what he ran on. He barely talked about Trump. Yet, you know, the more I speak to Democrats here all day long, it's no Trump, no Trump, no Trump. Is the formula for the midterms put Trump aside and run on issues that help Americans?
Trump aside, but you don't have to talk about it. He is hanging over competitive races like a dark cloud. It's what I have said to every Democratic candidate that I work with. You don't have to invoke him day in and day out. He is there. Swing voters. Look, people in Kansas are salivating over being able to run against Kobach with Laura Kelly, the Democrat. It's not that long ago that Kansas elected a Democratic woman governor, earlier this century, Kathleen Sebelius. So I think what you have to do as Democrats is not wave Trump in everybody's face every day. His approval ratings are still at historic lows. Run your campaign, find the issues and the values on which he's alienating those suburban voters, and not just women, but college-educated men as well now are starting to turn on them, and run those campaigns on a few issues where there's a huge wedge with Trump. You don't have to invoke him day in and day out. In fact, I think it's a mistake. Make the campaigns about their lives.
And I should have asked before, but when you said your message to Democrats is unify here, what did this say back to you? Because I hear your message, but then when I look at Democrats and I hear what they have to say, when Nancy Pelosi tells Rolling Stone that Seth Moulton, Tim Ryan, not major players, and I'm sort of going, I don't know, aren't they young, future, forward-thinking?
Look, I think that there are... the Democratic Party is a more diverse party. It always has been, and we ought to capitalize on that. What we need to do is win more elections at every level right now. You've heard me say this probably a million times if you've heard me say it once, Stephanie, right here on this show. We will not win elections if we don't appeal and keep to moderate Democrats and moderate independents in our party.
But is the diversity of voices the issue? Nobody has the guts to say, listen, I respect what you have to say, but if you want us to win, you're going to have to sit down right now and get behind me.
Support our candidates. And look, last night there were a couple of places where and Ocasio-Cortez supported candidates and they lost. Get on board with the person who won. That's what we do as Democrats. If you want to win, if your ideology is more important, then get out of our party. If you want to win, back candidates who have fairly won the nomination in our party, even if they beat the candidate you prefer.
It is that Ocasio-Cortez is saying, well, you need to run authentic and as an authentic Democrat and liberal, because if you run a moderate, they're not going to win. But those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. In 2006, Democrats took back the House and Senate because they ran moderate candidates who reflected the values of the district. And I don't think Ocasio-Cortez's district in Queens is anywhere comparable to the Ohio 12th or in Michigan. Americans in all these different districts have different values and beliefs, and you have a great series of
authentic and idealistic are two different things.
But she's conflating authentic and idealistic with being to the extreme left. And if you are somehow not on the extreme left, then you are a fake and you are not a real Democrat and you're no better than a Republican. I think that she really needs to hone in on, as do other Democrats, health care. Obamacare's premiums are going to come out 2 to 3 weeks before the election. And those premium raises are going to be high and shocking. And Republicans own it. Additionally, private insurance rates are going to be coming out around then. Some of them are going up. I have a friend who has his primary or care premiums going up by 25%. That is something that people don't want. And if Democrats run on that and also cede the fact that the economy is doing great, but ask the follow-up question, but is it helping you? They're going to do very well and possibly take back the House.
Run on issues that I call the 60 to 70% issues. The issues where the people in your district, in your state, agree with us at a level of 60 to 70%. And that includes mainstream issues on health care, expanding Obamacare, common sense gun laws, improving health care, expanding Medicaid, raising wages for working people who have gotten stiffed. Big corporations, their profits went up 23%. Run on those issues. That's where 60 to 70% agree with Democrats.
The income inequality divide is massive. President Trump had the insight to go after it. He said he was going to solve it. Here's what's happened. He hasn't solved it. He's exacerbated it. And people need to focus on the issues. Evan Siegfried, Joel Benenson, thank you so very much. Next, we got breaking news. We're going to stay on that Republican congressman from New York, Chris Collins, arrested, charged with insider trading. We're going to dig into his latest financial